Do you feel as though suicide is a serious issue? Have you recently heard of anyone who has tried or successfully committed suicide? Suicide is a major problem here in the United States. My purpose today is to inform you about suicidal awareness. Like many people, I have experienced suicide firsthand. My brother tried to commit suicide in the past. He displayed every sign before the attempt, but like most, I was ignorant to those signs, so I failed to notice. After going through this experience, I decided to do research so I wouldn't be ignorant to those signs twice. To educate you today on suicide, I will begin with discussing the statistics of suicide and then proceed to talk about behavioral health disorders associated with suicide and conclude by going over the signs that should raise concern. Every topic that I will educate you on today is of great importance when discussing suicide. I would like to start with the statistics of suicide to help create a solid picture of the severity in America. Suicide rates have revealed negative statistics and are affecting our population dramatically. According to American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, an American dies by suicide every 12.95 minutes. Over 40,000 Americans die by suicide every year. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in America. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for ages 10 through 24, and the fifth leading cause of death for ages 45 through 59. The suicide rates decreased from the year 1990 through 2000 from 12.5 suicides per 100,000 people to 10.4 per 100,000 people. Over the past decade, however, the rate has again increased to 12.1. Now that we have discussed some of the statistics associated with suicide, we can move on to behavioral health issues. There are behavioral health disorders, stress factors, and symptoms that can be linked to suicide. First, behavioral health disorders include PTSD, depression, anxiety, and panic disorders. Individuals with PTSD and depression disorders face an increased risk for suicidal thoughts and attempts. The symptoms of PTSD can make a person feel constantly afraid and alone. In addition, depression is common for following a traumatic event, and among people with PTSD, people with anxiety and panic disorders are just as likely to have suicidal thoughts and make suicidal attempts. The fear of dying during panic attacks is a risk factor for suicidal attempts among individuals with depressive disorders. Second, stress factors and their symptoms include marriage issues, death of a loved one, financial problems, and problems with school or at the workplace. Michelle M. Cornett, Medical College of Wisconsin, and Andrew M. Bush of the University of Wisconsin stated negative occupational and academic events increase risk for suicidal behaviors, specifically occupational loss and other difficulties at work have been linked to completed suicide. A person may feel that there is no hope or escape from their symptoms, their disorders, or just life in general. And when they have this feeling, they just lean towards suicide because they just feel trapped, and that may be their only option out. We should be aware of behavioral and physical warning signs of suicide. To begin, the behavioral signs include giving away possession and engaging in more reckless behavior. One of the most obvious signs of suicide is the giving of possessions and all of their possession. Also, when a person has decided to take their own life, they may engage in more reckless behavior and decision making. This is because they simply do not care about living anymore. In addition, the physical signs include a change in mood or substance abuse, often leading up to suicide. A person will exhibit a change in mood from being very sad to being very happy. Also, somebody might start abusing drugs and alcohol more for the simple fact that it helps them to feel better for a small period of time, but in the long run may make the situation worse. To conclude, we need to be more conscious of early warning signs in the effort towards the prevention of suicide. Let's review suicide as affecting our population. First, we discussed the drastic statistics behind suicide. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in America. Over the past decade, the rate has again increased to 12.1 per 10,000 people. Second, we discussed the behavioral health disorders associated with suicide. Individuals with behavioral disorders face an increased risk for suicidal thoughts and attempts. Fear of dying during a panic attack is a risk factor for suicide attempts among individuals with depressive disorders. And financial educational and occupational problems have been linked to suicide and the completion of suicide. Finally, we discussed the behavior and physical warning signs associated with suicide. A person who is all of a sudden very calm and was previously depressed may present as a red flag. Oftentimes, people contemplate suicide will turn to substance abuse as an escape, but this will make the situation worse down the road. Without a doubt, you are able to clearly see how dramatically suicide is affecting people every day. We, as a population, should be more conscious and educated on such serious issues. You now know the statistics. We should be able to identify possible early warning signs. We should also know the behavioral disorders associated with suicide so we can be aware and alert. Overall, we should be more educated so that we can evolve as a population and stop these statistics from increasing. Thank you.